Hi BookTube and welcome to a new video. This is a tag video. I have cut down on tags a lot. I haven't done one in an age, but I was tagged by Zena over at Beating About the Books, and this is a tag I did last year, but sort of gets updated every year because it's the end of the year book tag. So prompt one, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? Yes. So when I did this tag last year, one of the questions which we come to is, do you have any plans for next year? And last year I said I was going to make 2021 my year of reading maximally. A lot of books that I had on my shelves that had intimidated me simply because of their size. And I pledged that I would like to read 10 over the 12 months of 2021. There were 2 months that I wouldn't be reading. One was November because of Non-Fiction November, and the other was July when my own book was due to come out. Now, as of, where are we, sort of mid-October, I've read 6 maximalists, 6 of the 10. I'm not going to get to 10 because I've gone back to writing, and that is eating into my ability to commit to big books. But what I do want to do is do 7 out of the 10, which I think is a reasonable return. So the one that I am part way through, I'm about 50% of the way through, is The Tunnel by William H. Gass. The densest of them all, apart from maybe The Recognitions by William Gaddis. I do want to finish this before the year end. That would bring me up to 7. And if by some chance I could also squeeze in James Joyce's Ulysses, which was another one on the list, which again I'd started as part of a group read-along just as the pandemic hit in March 2020, and we had to set it aside. I know some of the people who participated in that have since picked it up and finished it. I would like to do the same, and if I'm able to do that, that means I would have got 8 of my 10 maximalist reads, which I would more than settle for as a reasonable return. So this is the only book that I have to finish. I'm currently involved in a 4-way read-along of W.G. Sebald's Austerlitz. We're in week 3 of 4. I will finish that, but obviously the last quarter of it I won't finish till next week. So I think those are only 2 books that I have to finish before the year. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? No. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? I'm not aware of one. I know Stasa Stanisic's new novel is due out imminently in the UK. I still haven't read his second one because his first one, which is called The Soldier Repairs the Gramophone, his debut novel, I really enjoyed that. And I kept checking and there was like nothing listed under him. And then I checked again recently this year and saw that I'd missed one, which I have since bought. And then there's this new one due. I'm not sure which order I'll read them in. That's as my mood will take me. In terms of new releases this year that have come out, there's the new John McGregor, Lean Fall Stand, which I wasn't waiting on with rapt pause of breath, because I'm not a John McGregor fan. I actually was waiting on it to see if it was a make or break for me with him, because it did seem to be different from his previous books that I have not liked. And actually it was okay, but it doesn't move me enough to want to read any more of him. Laurent Binet's Civilizations, which is hugely disappointing after his first 2 wonderful books, HHH and The Seventh Functional Language. There was a new book from finally the last in the David Peace's Japan trilogy, about 10 years after the second book, which was fine. Nothing special. Were there any other writers I was waiting with bated breath on a new release from this year? Oh yes, of course, the new Tom McCarthy, which is called The Making of Incarnation, which I read last week, and I will leave my full review of it. It's quite an involved review. So of all those sort of anticipated new releases, none of them blew me away, I think it's worth saying. I mean, some of them are very good, don't get me wrong, but none of them blew me away. Okay, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? well, I've said sort of Gaddis and Ulysses, but two others. Actually, sorry, these are really answers to the first book. The first question: what have I started that I need to get back to? Cyclonopedia by Reza Negarestani, an Iranian writer, which I started, which was recommended by Jason at Black Sheep Books, and I started, and it's very wacky. It's very absurdist. And then I got distracted. I would like to go back and read this, although to be honest I'd have to start again because this was in January I started it. And similar with this, Platt by John Trefree, which is a sort of an architectural novel is all I can describe it, on an independent publishers of America called Inside the Castle. Again, like Cyclonopedia, I started it. It was quite dense, so I didn't have the headspace at the time. I need to get back to it. And again, I was only about 15 pages or 20 pages in. I would need to really sort of start it again properly. So I would like to finish both of these. The other books I would like to do are my fall for non-fiction November, which I did in a video, so I'm not going to repeat them here. And I'll add a fifth non-fiction book to that, which is Craterless, which didn't fit any of the prompts, so I had to take out of my non-fiction November selection. Is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favourite book of the year? I don't think so. I mean, The Tunnel will be a 5-star read, but it won't be my book of the year. Have you already started making plans for 2022? Well, in response, I mean, I don't normally make reading plans. I am a mood reader. Although Zena disputes that, because compared to her I'm not a mood reader at all, I'm quite regimented. But I don't normally make plans, and the Maximalist reading of 2021 was really a deviation from my norm. So I don't have plans for next year other than 1 or 2 pre-scheduled buddy reads. The only plan I have is I'm not going to read 6 to 8 to 10 Maximalist books. I've done that. I'm actually going to limit the number of big books I'm going to read next year. But anyway, let's go through what. So this is a buddy read that Jason over at Old Blues Chapter and Verse and we always usher in the new year with a buddy read. He offered me 4 books. This is the one we went with, Asylum by Patrick McGrath, an author I've not read before. So looking forward to that. And then I think the only prospective other buddy read is with Zena, which is The Masters of Istanbul by Elif Shafak, which I've said will be the decider as to whether I think Elif Shafak is a writer for me or not, because I read her 10 minutes 38 seconds in A Strange World, which I absolutely detested. I've been told this is very good. It's about the Armenian genocide, so you know it is of interest, but I do wonder if her writing style is going to kill the politics of it for me. Anyway, we'll wait and see. There is also a proposed buddy read of Lina Merouan, a Chilean writer. Her first book, because it will almost certainly get to my top 10, her book Nervous System, which came out this year. So I went back and there was a previous book called Seeing Red. Now Zena and I, again, have got a plan to buddy read that. It's quite short, but that may fall into this year rather than next year. Don't know. Have to wait and see. One Maximalist book I am committing myself to is J.R. by William Gaddis, simply because I so enjoyed the recognitions. I didn't feel I could read this chunker after that one in the same year, but I'm definitely committed to reading it next year. So this will be one of the few exceptions in terms of Maximalist reads. And then just a bunch of various books I would like to get to next year. The Overstory by Richard Powers, which I'd studiously avoided last year when all the hoo-ha came out about it. But I read Bewilderment this year, really liked it, and thought, okay, actually, that was my first Richard Powers. I thought, so I can definitely go and try this now. The Place in Flowers Where Pollen Rests by Paul West. So this was sent to me by one of my followers who's not a booktuber himself, Mitchell Axler in Florida. He really rates this book, and I couldn't get to it this year because again it's quite chunky. It's nearly 500 pages and I'd already sort of inked in my Maximalist reads, but I'm definitely going to get to this next year, probably earlier rather than later. I'm actually reading a Paul West book at the moment called Portable People, which is a series of little vignettes about various historical figures, which is quite interesting. Does pose the problem of, do I count it as fiction or non-fiction now? But this is avowedly fiction. And then a couple of books. An Adultery by Alexander Theroux. I can only cope with one Theroux book a year, such as his Faustian style, where you have to look up at least 3 words every page. And I say that's someone with quite a good vocabulary myself. The only Theroux I'm reading this year is actually some non-fiction for Non-Fiction November. So I'm looking forward to getting into this next year. Ernesto Sabato on Heroes and Tombs, an Argentinian writer. I bought this last year, couldn't get to it. Obviously not going to get to it this year, so I would like to nail it. It's supposed to be very, very good. Anna Burns, the only Anna Burns novel I haven't read of hers. I've read her debut, then I read Milkman. I didn't know this one existed. I'm not sure where it fits in. I assume this isn't her debut. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, Anna Burns hasn't let me down yet. I only found out about this recently and bought it. I may even get to it this year. I don't know. James Baldwin, Another Country, just because, you know, it needs to be read, really. I've only read Giovanni's Room by him, so about time for that. And then I've got 3 or maybe more titles of Dennis Johnson, because a while back I committed to reading all of Johnson's fiction. So these are some of his earlier works, I think. Already Dead, Fiscadoro, and The Laughing Monsters. I'm not sure that they're as good as some of his later works, but, you know, a commitment is a commitment. And that's it. That's my answers to the end of year book tag. I am going to tag Courtney Ferriter. I'm going to tag Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verb. I keep calling it verbs. Old Blues Chapter and Verse. I'm also going to tag his wife Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading. And I'm going to tag finally Lukács at I can never remember his channel's name, a something reader. Anyway, thanks very much to Zena for the tag. Till next time.